So, going back a little bit with my background in my cult life, again, just give a little update. I was born into a cult all the way till I was 25, and one of the things that it was very difficult for me as a kid was I wasn't free to be me. There was so much fears, you know. I mean, the cult leader, you know, just a little background information. As far as the cult leader, how it was organized is he was hidden and nobody even met him except the very few people from the very beginning. It was brilliant how he organized it. And I guess it was fear-based because he had so much fear, people knowing him and finding him and getting caught, and the whole organization would protect him because he was the leader. Anyways, so I never met him. It's probably a good thing. Anyways, so as a kid, all the way to you know, teenager and adulthood, I was so afraid all the time. When you're in the middle of something, it's hard to see that you're in fear because you're in that, you know, mechanisms of like protection, trying to, you know, bring balance. But the balance I knew was fear. The fear was fear that I wasn't good enough, fear that God was going to judge me, fear that I wasn't going to have a home. We always had a home and we all lived together, but it was always a fear if if they weren't going to want you, they're going to kick you out, and you didn't know where you were going to go to because you didn't know anybody in the outside world. You know, we didn't have a lot of fear of that one, but you did have a lot of fear of, you know, being rejected. And like they would take examples of other teenagers about how bad they were, and then they would, you know, threaten us and tell us, you know, well, if you don't shape up like them, this is going to happen to us. And their lives were horrible. I mean, they would have been beaten and, you know, tortured and all, you know, horrible things. So of course, you know, it was in their explanations, you know, that it was the devil's problems, and so that they would, you know, threaten us that if we don't behave, we would also be, you know, threatened in those same situations. So we never wanted to become like those people, these bad people who were really not bad. Those were just teenagers who were, you know, were ostracized and treated terribly. So anyway, so we had a lot of fear. We were living in this fear life, afraid of what was going to happen. We were afraid because we never had money. We were afraid that we were going to be judged and we were going to be punished. We were afraid to question or to ask. We were afraid. I mean, the list went on. It was all the time. And what was funny is the cult leader, he would talk about fear, getting rid of fears, you know, the fear of the Lord, fear. But we couldn't associate of what we were really feeling, you know. So fear is a very powerful thing, a very powerful emotion. And I do see that nowadays there's a lot of fear going on. Now, I know the world is a lot different than what I went through. You know, it's not parallel, but there are a lot of similarities when it comes to fear. You know, people are afraid that they're not going to have a home. They're afraid that, which is understandable to be, you know, people should have a home, but they're afraid that they're not going to have enough money. They're afraid of a loss, afraid to be able to speak out if somebody is going to reject them. I mean, just everywhere, afraid of being unwanted. I think I could a list of, you know, 1,000 things of what the fears are, because fears it's in our mind, and it's created, and we hold on to it. We've been living in this for so long that we don't even know what's different. All we know is fear. Oh, what happens? This happens. Oh, if this happens over there, and sometimes it's valid. Sometimes, but other times I don't think it is. I think it could be changed if humanity as a whole could understand and see this as what these fears are. I do think that we could change this. We can see that as a whole we can work together. Okay, it's like, give an example. Let's just think about like 200 years ago when America was just redeveloping and people were building houses and stuff, and they would bring the community to build a house, and that's your home, and that was it. They didn't have to be taxed from their houses. They just would build it. You didn't have to have permits, thousands of dollars of permits to build a house. They just would do it. So the fear was a different kind of a thing, a different kind of fear as we have today. Now it's just so many laws and rules that it's so hard to be free, just to be creative and do what somebody is good doing. Instead, we are in a society of this, like a slavery in a way, because when we have all these rules and regulations, we are not really able to be free with our own creativity to use what we have. So I think I'm kind of like staring off a little bit, but it's just a side of how we are living in a lot of fear, because we are so dependent on these rules that we have to have. The less rules we have, the freer we can be. And I know a lot of people are afraid, well, okay, we don't have so much rules and all these bad people are going to hurt us and stuff like that. Well, it's all about how we were raised. If we're raised to treat people with respect, then of course, we're going to have a beautiful community of that. If we're, have this mentality that I have to steal to survive, well, of course, that's what we're going to get. And how does this happen? How do we get ourselves into positions where we're in this, take? Is this mentality that we're not good enough as who we really are, that we have to go into another organization to get there? People don't feel like they can find the answers within themselves, or to feel that they actually have everything they need within themselves, but instead they have to get permits to be able to get that. They have to get, a certain kind of education to have this ability to do it. And so people are not able to be totally free as who they are. So back to being, the fear, where does the fear come from? I mean, there's a lot of avenues, and I shouldn't even go there into where does the fears come from. But the one thing is, if we are aware of the fears itself, then we can actually acknowledge it and face the fears as what it is. And I can say with all my heart that the world is full of fears. And I can say to myself that I also have fears. I am aware of it. And I think it's so important to be aware of what's going on as a whole. If we're like, oh, I'm scared, I have to have this gated community to protect myself so this person doesn't steal. Well, why does that other person in that position where they might steal in a better community? We are afraid of those people. Why are we afraid of our brothers and sisters? Why? Instead, we need to get rid of all these walls as a whole, as a group, as humanity, and learn and understand what is it that people need as a whole so we can work together. Anyways, I know I've talked about a big subject, a very big subject, and I'm probably only touching the surface on this. And I do hope that I wasn't like going out of the realm of what I was trying to say. But I do putting some ideas out there, letting people think a little bit about this. If you have any ideas, always like feedback and stuff. And it's just putting some ideas out there as a whole. And I'm not talking about just the United States or just one country. We're talking about planet Earth, because it doesn't mean it's just we're here to protect one country and destroy another country. I'm talking about the whole, that each individual has the same desires to be loved, to be accepted, to be protected and appreciated, and I think everybody deserves to have that. And it doesn't matter what kind of skin or what kind of country they're from. I think everybody has a right to feel those senses, those experiences. And I think as a whole, the only way to change humanity, and this is not from me, I've actually learned this from other people, and as I've been, studying about philosophy, that the only thing to change is if we change as a whole. And it's not going to be an easy thing, because I think everybody has different ideas and different, point of views of things, which is fine. I think everybody has a right to feel and think as they please. The difference is that we need to work together as a whole. Let go of the judgments, as the Dalai Lama says many times, that the importance of, what love really is there is no judgment at all. So let's get rid of the judgments and just take time to get to know our brothers and our sisters, of who these people and this planet is all about.